Rita had always been a light sleeper, but the thump that echoed through the old house jolted her awake. She lay in the darkness, heart racing, trying to convince herself it was just the house settling. The creaks and groans of the aged wood were familiar companions, but this was different. It was too deliberate, too rhythmic. A solid thud followed by a brief silence, then another thump. She strained to listen, the silence after each sound stretching like a rubber band about to snap. Her husband, Tom, lay beside her, oblivious to the disturbance, his heavy breathing punctuating the stillness. With a sigh, she nudged him awake. "Tom, did you hear that?" Hear what?" he mumbled, turning over. Rita's annoyance flared, but she pushed it aside. "There's something in the house. I think it's coming from downstairs." Tom groaned, finally cracking open one eye. "It's probably just the wind, babe. Go back to sleep." But the thumping resumed, louder this time. It echoed from the living room, a hollow sound that reverberated in her chest. "I'm going to check it out," she said, swinging her legs out of bed. "Fine, but be careful," Tom grumbled, rolling back onto his side. Grabbing a flashlight from the nightstand, Rita tiptoed into the hallway, the wooden floorboards creaking beneath her feet. With each step toward the living room, her heart thudded in her chest, matching the sound echoing through the house. She reached the door and hesitated, glancing back at the dimly lit hallway. "Just a thump," she whispered to herself, mustering courage. She turned the handle and pushed the door open. The room was dark, illuminated only by the faint glow of the streetlight filtering through the curtains. She swept the flashlight beam across the space, revealing an array of furniture covered in dust sheets. The air felt thick and heavy, almost electric, as if charged with anticipation. Then she heard it again, a thump, followed by a low scraping sound. Her breath caught in her throat. "Tom," she called, but there was no response. He must have fallen back asleep. With trembling hands, she moved toward the sound, heart pounding. The thumping came from the basement door that was slightly ajar. "What the hell?" she muttered, pushing the door open further. The basement stairs were steep and narrow, the darkness below yawning like a mouth ready to swallow her whole. Taking a deep breath, she descended, the flashlight beam trembling in her grip. Each step creaked ominously under her weight, the thumping now muffled, replaced by a faint whispering. "Hello?" she called, voice shaking. "Is someone down there?" No answer. Just the rustling sound, like something shifting in the shadows. She stepped cautiously onto the basement floor, and the beam of her flashlight landed on a figure hunched in the corner. "Who's there?" she gasped as the figure turned, revealing a grinning face, one that made her stomach drop. It was Tom, but his expression was unnervingly distorted, a wild gleam in his eyes. "Tom, what are you doing down here?" He stared at her for what seemed like minutes, as a smile slowly crept over his face. Rita stepped closer to him as the flashlight illuminated the shine in his eyes. "Rita, we have been waiting for you." "We? Who is here?" She darted the flashlight around the dark basement, but noticed nobody. As she put the flashlight back on Tom, she saw that he was standing in the middle of some kind of ritual. There were bones and weird markings on the floor in a circle around him. "Come with me, and we will surpass this life together," Tom said with outstretched arms. The gleam in his eyes disappeared and was replaced with an empty void of darkness. She knew this thing that stood in front of her was not her husband. "Tom!" she yelled at him, grabbing his arms and shaking him violently. Life returned to his eyes, and confusion set across his face. "Rita, where are we?" The door to the basement slammed shut, and the flashlight faded, leaving them in a thick darkness. "We have to get out of here." Rita reached for Tom's hand so they could stay together, but all she could clench was emptiness. The walls began to shake, and even though she could not see, she felt like the room was spinning around her. Tom began to scream, but she couldn't tell from where. His cries seemed to leave like he was moving miles away from her, until his voice faded completely away. His voice was replaced with whispers from what seemed like thousands of people slowly getting louder from all around her. Their mutters echoed through the room, reverberating through her eardrums. Their cries and murmurs tortured her soul. The whispers got louder and louder until suddenly everything went quiet.